Cigars in my mouth, chilling at the lounge, watching a show. That's life, you know.
Hello guys, I'm Daniel Varga from CBSE Cigars. Do you know, guys, what does it mean, CBSE? Cut, burn, smoke and enjoy. So thank you guys that you follow us. We are in here with Steve Saka.
Yes.
And
Steve Saka.
Steve Saka.
After a whole bottle of Lagavulin, Steve Saka. So
yes.
This should be entertaining.
I'm come from Hungary, and we can buy the Sin Compromiso cigars too. And I have got a YouTube channel. So no, I have got two YouTube channels, and one of YouTube channels, the ambassadors guys who follow me, and they are members. Our next cigars will be Sin Compromiso, so we will testing it.
Yeah, did they like it? They
yeah,
didn't
I like it. I
you don't have to lie to me. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
No.
If it sucked, it sucked. It's just the way it works.
Can you tell me about the Sin Compromiso's histories?
Yeah, Sin Compromiso is actually an interesting project. Look, Sin Compromiso as a baseline, when you look at the tobaccos that are in it, there's nothing that jumps out at you off the sheet. The thing that makes this Sin Comp an interesting project is, first off, you need some real balls to name something Sin Compromiso, right? Without compromise. That's a pretty bold statement. By the way, just for correct language interpretation, if you're ever in Mexico and you say Sin Compromiso, it kind of means no commitment.
No.
So it's like kind of the thing you say to a pretty girl at a bar, like Sin Compromiso. You say, hey, come back to my room. We have a little Netflix and chill. You go on your merry way. But in Nicaragua, the term Sin Compromiso means without compromise. So on Sin Compromiso, the thing that makes that brand, or blend really, more interesting than the brand is we use a very specific capa. We use a San Andres Negro seed, which is not unique in any way whatsoever.
Yes.
It's the same basic San Andres Negro that everybody uses, but it's how we cultivate it. So what we do with Sin Compromiso is I had read this crazy article about these Japanese musk melons, where they have these melons that they used to grow for the royal Japanese family. And it's the same as any other musk melon, but what they would do is they would plant the melon, and then the vine would grow, and then what they would do is that an average vine would support they would support about 20 to 24 melons. But what they would do is they would prune off the blossoms for all the melons except two. And then they would let just those two melons develop on the vine. And then what would end up, and look, they would do a lot of Japanese shit because the Japanese are weird, right? They'd sing to it, they'd rub it, whatever the fuck. But ultimately, they would actually choose one of the two melons and they would throw a melon away. And in the end, you would have this vine structure that was, what's the right word? Agriculturally able to support 24 melons. But all of the energy would go into the one single melon. And what would end up happening is you would have this one melon that would end up being fleshier, sweeter, richer. And then this was a melon that would basically be only allowed to be consumed by the Japanese family, the Japanese royal family. And in fact, even to today, these melons that they grow, they're illegal to export out of Japan. And so a single melon literally cost like $400 for a fucking melon.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't know, this kind of intrigued me, this concept. And if you think about it logically, you have a root structure and a vine structure that's really designed to support 24 fruits, but you're reducing it to one fruit. And I always wondered, how would this work with tobacco? What if we did this very same thing, where you have this plant and it's designed to naturally support 7, 8 different primings of tobacco, 24 to 28 leaves. What if we didn't let that energy go into 24, 28 leaves? What if we basically stripped off all the bottom of the plant and let it just concentrate on the top half of the plant? And so that's what we did. We started growing tobacco in Mexico, and we started to prune off all of the offshoots at the beginning, and we never let it develop the bottom half of the plant. But in the end, what this means is the top half of the plant, it weight-wise would only produce about a third weight-wise of the tobacco. So you're going through all the energy, effort, and cost of growing a full plant, but in the end, you're only getting to harvest a third of the plant, right? So you basically, essentially, you didn't just triple your cost, because now you also have the extra work, because once you prune anything off anything, you now have to also go back and pull off the little suckers that come from it. So it's not just throwing away the bottom half, it's also the extra labor involved. So we had grown this crop, and the farmer that I was doing it with, he's like, this is just stupid. This doesn't make any sense at all. And in fact, the name that we call the tobacco, I didn't come up with. He actually came up with the name. He kept telling me, cultivo tanto, which means just stupid, silly, ridiculous. Why are you doing this? We're throwing away all this perfectly good tobacco. So what was the breaking or the deciding factor for me is I made the Sin Compromiso, the blend.
What was the time when you made
this? This would have been like 2018-ish, I think. 2018.
2018.
So I buy regular San Andreas Negro from the same farmer, grown the exact same way. So what ultimately but look, you fall in love with your own ideas, so you have to be very careful. So ultimately, in the end, when we made the Sin Compromiso blend, I said, okay, make it with the traditionally harvested San Andreas Negro from the same seed, from the same farm, the way we would normally do it, and make me 50 of those cigars, make me 50 of the cigars using just the cultivo tanto crop, where we're throwing away all this tobacco.
No.
And I literally could tell 100% of the time which one was the cultivo tanto, which one wasn't cultivo tanto.
You did it as a blind tasting?
I did it as a totally blind tasting. I had no clue. I said to the factory, don't tell me which is which, just give them all a number 1 through 100, mix them up, 78 is, 77 isn't, 74 is, 70 boom, 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 because I didn't want to know. And I could tell the difference. There's just a little bit of extra sweetness, naturally. There's just a little bit of extra body, something that makes it much unique. And once I saw that, I'm like, okay, we are going to do Sin Compromiso with just the cultivo tanto crop. And look, this is not a charitable act on my part. We charge you for it. When you smoke a Sin Compromiso, you pay about $2 more because I have wasted the money to do this process to make this happen. But there is a discernible difference. And the other thing that we ultimately did with Sin Compromiso, and if you're a consumer, before you ever light the cigar, you should take a cold draw on it. Because the way it works in Mexico, the growing season is very short, and they bump into the rainy season. So what ultimately happens is they put propane burners in the barns to wick away the extra moisture because of the rainy season to allow the tobacco to burn. So it's not like a heat-cured, propane-fired tobacco crop like you would have like Candela, but it absolutely is essential. But back in the 70s, they didn't use propane burners. What they used is they used an indigenous wood from the valley that they would make their own charcoal. And it always had this like really very light, delicate, smoky flavor to it. And you will notice that in Sin Compromiso because we made them cure it using that mechanism of the traditional indigenous charcoal that they make there. And it does affect the way it tastes when you're smoking it, but it's almost indiscernible for the average consumer. But as an average consumer, you can actually get a little hint of that smokiness if you take a cold draw on a cigar. So it's a rather unique blend because of that Kappa presentation. Sin Compromiso. It's nice, and I'm actually smoking one now. The number 5, in my opinion, is one of the best. The SD Toro size. The number 4, which is the Robusto size, is very good. And then we also have a stronger iteration of it that I charge an egregious amount of money for. That is the Paladin de Saka. And of all the Sin Compromisos personally, the Paladin's my favorite. But of course, I don't have to pay the extra $10. So I pay about an extra $4. But I mean, I think that's a really good expression. So Sin Compromiso is it's a unique project with a unique wrapper tobacco, medium bodied, very smooth, rich, a lot of nuance to it. It's a really, really nice blend. It's one of our flagship products as a company, and it's one that, as a small company, like most small companies don't have the luxury or the wherewithal to do the type of projects that we do. We do a lot of very unique things with tobacco that other people don't have the capacity to do. And look, we don't do it, like I said earlier, we don't do it as a charitable contribution. You as the consumer, you pay for it.
Yes.
You do. And but I think that I think the proof is in the pudding. I think when you taste it, you can tell there's something about this that makes it a little different, very unique, and something special. And that's what Sin Compromiso is. It's a really, really nice cigar.
Yes.
It's something that we're quite proud of as a company.
Can you tell me about, because you are in very famous people in the cigar life. Steve Saka is Steve Saka. Really?
How is that possible?
So, can you tell me to us how did you learn everything about the cigars? How was the starting?
So, however cigar crazy you think you are, I was more cigar crazy. I was an uber consumer. Like, in my personal walk-in humidor at home, I had about 25,000 to 27,000 handmade cigars.
You got a gift, my friend. You got a gift.
25,000.
Yeah, I was literally the best customer for like 7 or 8 retailers in the United States.
Oh.
I was actually, during the 90s, I was actually considered like the U.S. expert on Cuban cigars. I mean, it was crazy. When they did the codes on the boxes?
Yes.
It was me that broke the codes. So much so that when they made new codes, I then broke the new codes. The Habanos got mad at me that they had to change the whole system yet again, just like literally 60 days later. I mean, I was fucking insane. I mean, that's where I started. I started as just a hardcore cigar junkie. So, like, during the 90s, I would spend my personal money to go to Honduras and spend an entire month, shadowing people like Estelo Padron in his factory. Let me see what you do. How do you do this? Boom, boom, boom. And even to this day, the one thing I have learned is you never will know it all. There's no such person as the be-all, end-all. So even today, I'm still like a sponge. I still am very inquisitive. I still learn new things all the time. And and the thing was, I've always been a relatively good communicator, and I always was willing to write a lot. So whatever I learned, I would always share with all my other fellow cigar smokers. I mean, in the 90s, I had a website called cigarnexus.com. Nobody that's listening to this has ever heard of this nonsense, right? But I was literally like the very first blogger before the term blogger ever got invented. And I wrote literally, when I say I wrote tens of thousands of words about tobacco, about cigars, about manufacturers, and I was doing it all with no commercial interest at all. I was doing it entirely just out of, I'm a fucking crazy cigar guy. That's why I was doing it. And in fact, that's what led to me getting into the cigar business. And it wasn't, I had a plan. It was really, in the United States, there was the 8,000 pound gorilla, to be honest with you. It was a gentleman named Lou Rothman. And he wanted me to write, he wanted me to write a book on cigars and tobacco because I knew everybody, I had been everywhere, I had traveled everywhere, and I had no commercial axe to grind about it. And that's kind of where I began. It's really, I don't really think about it, but kind of in hindsight, when you reflect about it, it's kind of a rather unique thing because I spent a good 9 years as a geek just wanting to learn about cigars and tobacco, to the point that in an average year, I was, between travel and cigars and whatnot, I was spending like $60,000, $70,000 out of my personal pocket.
No.
Yeah, no.
No way.
No,
Oh.
totally insane. I mean, it made no sense at all. But look, I was blessed. I had sold a company in '93. This is what my passion is, and that's what I felt. That's where I went. So, everything we do as a company really stems back to who I was back in 1993 and 1994 and 1995. It's a very different.
Yes.
And
It comes the cigar boom in 1992, and
yeah, the boom started like really 93-ish.
Ni-
It kind of crashed in like the end of '97.
yes,
And when every Tom, Dick, and Harry was getting in the cigar business, trying to profit, I didn't at all. I had no interest in being in the cigar business.
no,
My first actual paying gig in the cigar business was the tail end of '99.
99.
And that's when JR Cigar hired me to be an executive consultant. And even that wasn't like a job I was looking for. It was something that just kind of got offered to me. And he gave me such an absurd amount of money. Thank you, Lou Rothman. I love you. You're my friend forever. And I even when I took the gig, he's like, what am I going to do? He goes, I have no clue. It's like, you like going to all these shitty third world countries. You know everybody. You're like a really hardcore cigar guy. We'll figure it out. And that's really kind of where it began for me, and which then ultimately led to being president and CEO of Drew Estate, which ultimately, after they got bought out, led to me doing this little podunky Dunbarton Tobacco Trust. So there was no master grand plan in any way whatsoever. But oddly enough, I've been very blessed with a lot of success in my life as a result of the cigar business. And I'm very thankful for it because I'm now in a position where I kind of get to do what I want to do. I only make the products I want to make.
yeah,
I don't answer to anybody. Even like when we make blends, it's just me. Nobody gets an opinion. The factory doesn't get an opinion. Nobody in our office gets an opinion. And the other thing too is I don't ever worry about the cost of anything. I don't worry about, I need something that's going to sell for X. No, I make the cigar, and then I just do the math, and I figure out this is what it costs to make, and then this is how much profit you need to make in order to make it into the future as a consistent product. And the price is the price.
yes,
And the consumer, they get to decide. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it?
yes.
If it's not worth it, don't buy it. If you feel like it's worth it, thank you very much. I appreciate you, our business, but I don't. We're a very, very odd, peculiar company. We don't ask anybody to buy our cigars. We don't. We wait until they ask us. Hey, I'm interested in bringing your brand into our store. But honestly, the way we open most of our accounts is because the retailer gets badgered by consumers like, why don't you carry this? Why don't you carry that? This is a good brand, boom, boom, boom. And they just get sick of it. Fuck, I don't want to sell your cigars, but they just keep asking me, so okay, I got to buy it. you know. And so even in the last 10 years, we've grown very, very organically, despite my bad personality and my go fuck yourself attitude.
Yeah.
It's really been because consumers have driven the success of our company. I mean, I often say that our consumers are more discerning and experienced, and they are. Our best customers are people that have smoked everything and anything at any price point, and they have smoked cigars for 20, 30 years, and they smoke our stuff and go, wow, this is actually worth smoking. And they're really what drives us as a company. And I will say this, if your palate doesn't align with my palate, then you're not going to be happy with anything that we make. Because everything we make is something that I personally... The one thing I always ask myself with everything is, would I personally be willing to buy this and put it in my humidor at the price? And if I can't honestly say yes, we don't make it. Just that simple. So if I'm not willing to spend my hard-earned dollars, how could I ask somebody else to spend their hard-earned dollars for it? And so I have always had this attitude that the middle is never good. Making something good, making something decent, making something okay, making something serviceable. No, you want to make something that's unique enough that somebody out there is going to love it. Because when you make cigars for the masses, there's tons of great products you can buy that are a far better value as a consumer. I make cigars for the people that they really, really love this particular blend. And they feel as though it's worth it to them for them to spend the little bit extra. Look, we don't charge crazy numbers.
Yes.
You know, and that's another thing that's really unique about us. You know, most companies, they price the things that are really hot at a higher price. They price the things that aren't selling as well at a lower price to try to get them. We price everything exactly the same. Everything is a 40% gross margin. So basically, I make the same profit on our low end Umbagog as I make on our high end. So in the end, what wins and what loses. I don't in any way use the pricing in any way to affect the sales of the product. Because look, I don't know. Consumers have to make their own decision about what's worth it or not worth it. And if they don't feel that a Sin Compromiso Paladin Saka that in the U.S. is a $30 cigar is worth it, then guess what? I shouldn't make Sin Compromiso Paladin Saka. You know, it's just. But the reality is, when you buy that $30 cigar from Dunbarton, profit-wise for me, it's the same as when you buy a $10 Umbagog broadleaf cigar that we made. On the P&L sheet, they're physically the same from a commercial point of view. So everything that we price is entirely based solely on the cost, not based on, oh, I think we can do great with this. Oh, I think we need to help this one. No, it's not the way we do our pricing. Our pricing is very transparent. It's very straightforward. It is what it is. Ultimately, the market gets to decide whether it's relevant, not relevant. They get to decide. Because in the end, if I love whatever, I can make 3,000-4,000 of something for myself to smoke, and not try to sell it commercially. So, yeah, we're a bit of an odd duck of a company.
How you feel yourself after these 3 days?
Yeah, it's inner tobacco. I mean, so a lot of people look. The international market doesn't have the value of the U.S. market. Ultimately, 75% of all cigars are consumed by U.S. cigar smokers. And then the other 25%, you're fighting with the 35 to 38 million units that our friends at Habanos make, right? By locality, it's massive. But actually the numbers are quite small. A little in Bulgaria, a little in Greece, a little in Italy, a little wherever. It's really, it's not the same. Much much to the distress of the international customers, the truth is the state of New Hampshire is worth more than literally 8-10 countries added together. So from a commercial perspective, it's really not that viable. It's really the game of the really big companies that have got total penetration in the U.S. market, and therefore we need someone else to sell our product to, where we in the U.S. are still growing. But at the same time, so a lot of people that enter international, they do it as a masturbatory fantasy because their egos want them to be international. Oh, I want to be sold in Paris. Oh, I want to be here. I want to be in Hong Kong. I want to be in these places. I'm pretty indifferent to it. Like, I don't give a fuck about all sorts of great accounts in America. Why am I going to care about some fucking place in fucking the UK with a bunch of swells? And it's not that I don't appreciate the customers that are there, but it just kind of is what it is. So we have our partners, Hoya de Nicaragua. They manufacture about 50% of our cigars, but there are representatives internationally. They have the capacity to do it, and for them, they feel that it's worthwhile to have our brands available to customers and consumers worldwide. But honestly, if it wasn't for them, we don't have the wherewithal to do it. At the same time, I have to admit, it's nice when you spend 3 days and people come up and say, oh, your Mi Querida is the best cigar I've ever smoked. Your Overseas is one of the best cigars I've ever smoked. I mean, yeah, I get a little bit of a chubby out of it. That's nice, but in the end, business is business.
Yes.
So, I like doing it. Even in the U.S., look, I don't mean to make this sound wrong. Sales are the lifeblood of the company. I'm not like some super millionaire that does it as a vanity project.
That you are very famous.
There are some brands in the marketplace that haven't made money for a decade, but the principal parties are incredibly wealthy, so they continue to fund it. The way we run Dunbarton Tobacco Trust is it has to be profitable. It doesn't have to make me wealthy, but I don't want to actually lose money doing it, right?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's the same thing with international. It doesn't have to make me wealthy, but I want it to make sense. The thing that I enjoy the most is the conversations with people that are like true cigar smokers. So even though I say Belgium doesn't matter, Belgium doesn't matter. But what there is in Belgium is there's cigar smokers in Belgium that love handmade cigars. And they actually really appreciate good cigars.
Yes.
And I love the fact that we're able to serve those consumers and have an interaction with them. That part is very rewarding. So even though I'm not going to get rich selling internationally by any stretch of the imagination, the fact that there are just cigar lovers all across the globe, Turkey, China, Thailand, wherever, that in itself is a lot of satisfaction. The thing that I find the most satisfying, like we've been very blessed with a lot of number ones and rewards and best boutique brand of the year here, yada, yada, yada. That's all nice. The thing that I actually find the most satisfying is when you have someone who's smoked cigars for 20, 30 years. They have literally tried thousands of brands.
Yes.
They literally can buy anything they want.
Yes.
Money is not relevant to them at this point in their lives. But yet they choose to smoke our cigars. That person is very, very rewarding. To hear that feedback, it motivates you to keep doing what you do, to keep pushing forward, to keep trying to make something that's unique and worthwhile and satisfying, because those guys they know, those consumers, that to make those people happy, that makes me happy.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Oh wait, you've been dishonest up until this point?
No. Shakmat. I liked your interviews that I found on YouTube and on the internet, because you are very honestly man, and
Let me tell you something.
yes,
I have never ever, with the exception of one, in all the interviews I've done, have ever watched a single one of them.
no,
No. I look at early on. Okay, so it's a little bit of a lie. In the beginning, I did, and I was like, "Man, you're fat. Why did you say that stupid shit? You could have said that better." I became very self-conscious about how I looked, what I said, right? And so I decided about 20 years ago that I was never going to watch any of them or listen to any of them, because it would change how I do it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Because look, I'm human. I'm like everybody else.
yes,
I've got the same failings and the same nonsense that we all deal with in life. But yeah, so it's really funny when I hear somebody say, "Oh, I watched you on wherever, Cigars Daily. I watched you. I listened to you on Cigar Authority, yada yada, whatever." I'm like, "Oh, really? Thank you very much." But the truth is, I've never listened to any of them. I never watch any of them, because I would just become too self-critical about them. And then I would stop saying stuff that's honest. I would start saying stuff that's tailored. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's nice to hear you say that. And I think that's what... I'm the same person that people see online
yes,
in person.
yes.
I don't have a different persona ever, for good or bad. And as far as some people are concerned, for very bad. They're fucking like that. Fuck Saka. I hate him. He's a cocksucker. I mean, and look, you know what? They're right some of the times. But I mean, it's. But yeah, it's. I don't know. I am who I am for good and for bad. Whatever it is, it is.
Yes, it's very good. Can you remember your first cigars that you smoked?
Oh, look, the first cigar I smoked was with two of my friends. I think I was 14, maybe 15, down by a river with a 6-pack of Lone Star we bought illegally, and it was probably it was Swisher Sweets.
No.
Yeah. I enlisted in the Navy. Here's another misconception. Most people think I've always been like wealthy. No. I grew up as poor white trailer trash in deep East Texas. That's my. If you may not know the reference, but if there's a program called Ozarks. There's a particular family that's the trailer trash family. That was my family. That's how I grew up. And first real handmade cigar I smoked was I enlisted in the Navy at the age of 17. So it was probably right around, I don't know, right before I was 19. I was given a cigar. I was given cigars by a senior chief on our boat, and I started getting into cigars. And thankfully, there's a gentleman who, I don't even know if he remembers me, but he was our operations officer. His name was he was Lieutenant Walter S. Laird, and he's like, Saka, those aren't real cigars. Let me give you some cigars. Look, I was enlisted in the Navy. At that point, you made no money back in the 80s. And he started giving me Dominican A. Chapman's, the Romeo Julieta, and Monte Cristos, and Fuentes, and Walter Laird was the first person that probably gave me my real, like, oh, this is worth smoking kind of cigar. So that would have been about 1985-ish, 1986. And then I was just kind of off to the races from that point. I mean, I have smoked 8 to 10 handmade cigars every day of my life for at least the last 30 years.
And now you smoke in 8 or 10?
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah, easy. Yeah, no. If there's like only 3 times I don't smoke. I don't smoke when I'm eating. I I don't smoke when I'm shitting, and I don't smoke when I'm fucking. And 2 out of those 3 times, I sometimes smoke. You know what I mean? Yeah. So no, I pretty much have a cigar lit from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, I have smoked an absurd number of cigars, and you can see the beautiful physical specimen it's made me. So I don't recommend it to anybody. It's a little much, but yeah, I have smoked so many cigars. Well, like everybody else, you know, I got into cigars. I'd smoke 1 a week, then 2 a week, and then eventually I got to smoking 1 a day, and 2 a day. But after about 10 years, I was smoking pretty much 8+ cigars every single day, and it hasn't stopped since. And, cigars are, I just love them. Man. I love cigars.
Yeah, we love.
You know what else I love? I love cigar smokers. I don't love the bullshit, you know, guys that just read glossy magazines and smoke cigars to flex kind of guys. But actually, like real cigar smokers, I'm them, they're my people. I genuinely... There are a lot of ways to make money.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And I gotta tell you, there are a lot of ways I could have made a lot more money. I'm a reasonably smart guy, and but the thing that I love about our business is your customers, they want your product to be exceptional. They want to give you their money. Genuinely, they want to give you their money. And there's not many things that we buy in life that we actually want to buy. Most of the things that we spend our money on, we have to spend our money on, right?
Right.
But cigars are a choice. Oh, don't worry about the phone. Cigars are is a choice. And it's one of the things I like because I know that you know, the people that choose to smoke handmade cigars, it's something that they're happy. It makes their lives better. It makes the end of their day better. It helps to enrich their lives, whether it's private moments or whether it's with friends or whether it's with family or whatever. That's the thing about the handmade cigar industry,
yes,
that I really, really love.
Can you tell me the last questions, because everybody's packing?
Yeah, they're all packing out.
Yes.
They're all like, get the fuck out.
Yes. So, what do you think, what is the big difference, the Cubans and the non-Cuban cigars?
So, oddly enough, most people that are New World people, they're very anti-Cuban cigar. I don't come from that perspective. In fact, as a consumer during the 90s, I had a good 6-7 year stretch where probably 85% of what I smoked was Habanos only. I was actually, during the 90s, I was actually regarded as like one of the Cuban cigar experts in the United States. The thing about Cuban cigars is, as a general rule of thumb, they're relatively mild. Even the strong things like Bolivar and Partagas, on a 10-point scale, there may be a 5. The thing about Cuban cigars is they have a very unique aroma. It's almost a floral note that makes them very distinct.
Yes.
So I don't disparage the people that love Cuban cigars in any way whatsoever. And honestly, as someone that makes cigars in Central America, I can make something Cuban-esque, but really I can't recreate the flavor of Cuban tobacco. I can't. But in the same way, they can't make a Mi Querida Triqui-Traca, right? They don't have the capacity to do that. So I really look at it as an alternative, something different. Now, like everybody else, I wish the quality control was better. I wish that so many weren't so tight.
Yes.
Right? I mean, but even in the 90s, as a Cuban cigar consumer, I pretty much knew that for every box I bought, a third to a half of it was going to be tight. It's the byproduct. One of the reasons why Cuban cigars are tight is because of the tobacco itself. Cuban tobacco is very thin in texture.
Yes.
Okay? And that thinness actually makes it quite a challenge to do the bunching. Because like when you work with heavier materials in Central America,
Yes.
its texture, its lumpiness, for lack of a better term, it almost provides you natural air channels. Where with the Cuban tobacco being so inherently thin, it's very hard to make Cuban cigars that out of that Cuban tobacco cigars out of that draw really well. So it's almost a byproduct of the materials in themselves. So I think that I can appreciate the consumer that like, oh, I only like Cuban cigars. I think they're the best in the world. No, we're not talking about the brand people that just they smoke on flex because oh, it's got the brand on it. But I also like legitimate cigar smokers that really like in their heart feel that Cuban cigars are the best. I'm okay with that. I get it. It sings to you. It makes sense to me. It has a unique profile. It has a unique taste. I can instantly tell by the aroma when somebody else is smoking a Habanos. I can tell as soon as I put it in my mouth that it tastes like Habanos. There's a very distinct kind of flavor to Habanos cigars. Personally, for me, they're too mild.
No.
They don't give me the richness, the strength that I want today. But 1998, like I said, 75, 80% of every cigar I smoked, 4 out of every 5, I was smoking Habanos. Where now today, I'll smoke a Cuban cigar once a week maybe.
No.
You know what I mean? It isn't something that I chase after. It isn't something that I crave in the same way. But yeah, I can understand why a consumer would appreciate a Cuban cigar. Personally, I wish they would get their construction issues under control. I wish the prices weren't what the prices are.
Yeah.
But you have no control over this at all.
Yes. Steve, thank you the interviews, thank you your time.
Oh, no,
it was awesome. It was awesome because I know
you're gonna get blocked on YouTube because I swear too much.
We always made it the reviews. It's 2 hours long videos, and now we are making the interviews. I will making the interviews in the same times because I don't wanna cut the videos because I think everything is very important in the to stay in the videos.
No,
you speaking about the cigars with a passion and it's very good. It's the very good things. And when I arrived in here, I would like to make you with an interview because I think you are famous people in the cigar life and you have got so big knowledge about the cigars.
That's very generous of you to say.
Oh,
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, your time.
Wow.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys. You never forget, just smoke and nothing else. Bye.